What's up, space pirates? This is your captain, the ever-charming Dr. Disaster, and you might remember that there was much ado made about whether or not Dragon Age the Veilguard had actually sold 1 million copies, and to this day, despite rumors that they have hit that number, they still have not announced that they met that milestone.
This is so humiliating!
The worst trouble for these dingleberries who made this game at BioWare is that Dragon Age is a household name. Gamers all around know this franchise. Most gamers have likely played at least one of the games from the series, so to have such low sales numbers is really bad with that sort of advantage. Meanwhile, the game Stalker 2, The Heart of Chornobyl has absolutely knocked it out of the park because it turns out that gamers just want to play normal games that aren't preaching pronoun shit at them.
So, are you trying to have sex with me?
Who the f*** starts a conversation like that? I just sat down.
Stalker 2 has overtaken Dragon Age on Steam, blowing it out of the water completely. They have a higher max player count, and the analytics sites are estimating that in just 2 days, Stalker has outsold Dragon Age, which has been released for damn near a month by now. I expect that the people at BioWare are probably reacting like this behind the scenes.
Dirty Turkish back flat and Morton, Philip Martin, Perkaluma.
Meanwhile, the makers of Stalker 2, GSC Game World, are loving life. They just posted this on X, the announcement that after less than 48 hours of being available to the public, they had sold 1 million copies. And keep in mind that Stalker is a reasonably popular franchise, but it is nowhere near as famous as Dragon Age, and yet they've beaten Dragon Age completely, as the sales estimates on the analytics sites are backing this up and telling us that Stalker 2 is selling like crazy. Once again, this goes to show that people do not want this gender pronoun garbage in their games. Instead, they just want the tried and true. Give us a weapon, let us fight monsters, and shut the hell up with all the lectures, and gamers will abandon the hell out of lost franchises like Dragon Age and go for that shit like crazy.
Where did everybody go?
Killing is my business, ladies, and business is good.
Alright, me hearties, make sure you like this video and subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already, and also, don't forget to follow me over on Twitter or X, or whatever you want to refer to it as these days. I keep a list on there of games lousy with wokeness pinned to the account at all times for your reference. My handle over there is Dr. Disaster 1. But anyhow, let's take a peek at the numbers showing how Stalker 2 is absolutely crushing Dragon Age in much the same way that reality has crushed the likes of Rosie O'Donnell. These numbers for Stalker 2 remind me of what we saw for Warhammer Space Marine 2, which sold a couple million copies after just a few days. The thing about that game, though, is that that one was released on PC, Xbox, and PS5, while Stalker 2 only launches on PC and Xbox. Plus, Stalker 2 is available on GamePass, so that will definitely cut into the total sales of the game. I suspect that if this was released on the PlayStation, and if it wasn't released on Game Pass, then this game would have sold over 2 million copies already. But keep these disadvantages that the game has in mind as we compare it to the likes of Dragon Age the Veilguard. The max concurrent player count for Stalker 2 is currently sitting at about 117,000 players. That's a little over half of the max for Space Marine 2, which blew up at about 225,000, which, Once again, if Stalker wasn't on the Game Pass, I expect that its numbers would have been much higher, but it already beat the shit out of Dragon Age, which couldn't even net 90,000. Not to mention, as I've talked about on this channel, Stalker 2 has been suffering from some bugs at launch. The reviewers make it sound like the bugs are pretty bad, but actual gamers who have been commenting on my videos in the last couple of days, they have been pretty clear that the bugs aren't that bad, and I will trust gamers over game journalists any day of the week. So, with that in mind, let's take a look at this announcement from the official Stalker account on X. It says, "No wonder it feels a bit crowdy in the zone. 1 million copies were sold, and much more stalkers joined the artifact hunt with Game Pass. This is just the start of our unforgettable adventure. The Heart of Chornobyl emanates stronger with each of us," and pay attention to how they phrased that there. They've sold 1 million copies of this game, but they said that much more stalkers joined the artifact hunt with Game Pass. Much more, I know, is a bit of an awkward way to phrase that. Keep in mind that these are Ukrainian people who developed this game, so English is probably not their first language. But more than 1 million people, in fact many more than 1 million, played this game on Game Pass. This makes it sound like the game would have easily sold 2 million copies in its first few days if the circumstances of its launch had been a bit different. And if we look at the Gamealytics page for Stalker 2, we can see that they estimate the game has sold approximately 803,000 copies of the game thus far. Keep in mind, Gamealytics is one of those sites that only tracks for Steam. They do not account for anything sold on other platforms, like the Xbox Store or in retail stores. But now let's compare that to Dragon Age, which has been released for weeks now, and Gamealytic is now estimating that they've sold around 640,000 copies of the Veilguard on Steam. And word is that the game has seen a shitload of refunds because those cultural auto intake people, those people who had to buy this game no matter how bad the reviews were, a lot of those people who tried it out decided to get their money back. And it's unclear whether or not Gamealytic tracks refunds. But what is clear is that you can see the stark difference here between a game that is actually quite popular in Stalker 2 versus a game that was fortunate to have a famous IP attached to it, or else its sales would have been as bad as something like Unknown 9 Awakening. You might remember that the other day I discussed how Stalker 2 absolutely blew Dragon Age out of the water in the retail stores from which I'm fed sales information, despite the fact that it's a Game Pass release and only available on Xbox. The only game from this month that's really competing with Stalker is Farm Simulator. On Steam, Farm Simulator has beaten Stalker in terms of max concurrent players, though in terms of total sales, Gamealytics estimates that Farm Sim is behind Stalker with approximately 650,000 sales, but it's still ahead of Dragon Age. In any case, I'm going to leave it there. I may follow up on this to see how Stalker and Farm Simulator 25 are stacking up against each other in terms of sales in retail stores, and to see if Stalker ends up dethroning Farm Sim's max player count. However, drop your thoughts on Stalker 2 beating the crap out of Dragon Age into the comment section below, and we will talk there.
Thanks for watching, me hearties. If you haven't already, your captain is inviting you to subscribe to the channel and become a part of the crew. Life as a space pirate may not be glamorous, but there's always plenty of booty.